I hear these myths a lot, and one just came up this week. So I want to go through a few of them that I hear a lot and, are just simply not true. Hello, and welcome to Trucking Answers. I'm Mark, your Mythbuster host. These are not in any particular order. So, here, the first one I want to talk about is the white sheet myth. Every once in a while I hear this, and I've heard this really since I started driving. Mark, you have to have white sheets. If you don't have white sheets in your truck, you get in trouble. I'm like, why, old driver? Well, that's because, Mark, if you don't have white sheets and you come in an accident, you can contaminate the person from the dye in the colored sheets. I swear to you, this is what people tell me. All right, here's a fun fact, by the way. Do you know the size of a sleeper that it has to be? All right, so think about that for a minute. The official size, the minimum size. All right, a sleeper only has to have bed sheets and bedding, right? Sufficient for rest. Right? It doesn't matter what color they are. You can have Power Ranger sheets, form of bed sheet. You can have whatever sheets you want. Powerpuff Girls, SpongeBob, it doesn't make any difference. There's no color requirement on the sheets, all right? I don't know why this myth persists. Maybe in the 50s, and by the way, for all of you that say you're an idiot on these, which happens all the time, when you write to me to tell me that, please cite the regulation, all right, where I'm wrong. Not just my aunt's brother knew a guy whose cousin worked for Preston, the 151 line, in the 1960s, and he said that they told him that some guy knew something. That's not a regulation, all right? That is not a regulation. That's not. All right, back to our trivia question. The size of the sleeper minimum, it's supposed to be generally rectangular in shape, which I think is interesting. 75 inches long, 24 inches wide, and 24 inches from the top of the mattress or whatever you're sleeping on to the bottom of the ceiling or whatever it's in there. That's minimum. All right. I'd say most of them today are bigger than that. That's a legal sleeper. On to another myth that I talk about and hear about. Mark, you have to log 15 minutes for your pre-trip. No less than that. They won't accept less than that. All right. That's not true. All right. Everything is to be logged as it's done. The DOT has never required a minimum time for really anything. Okay, they limit the maximum time that you can drive, but there's no minimum log time. What they request and require is that things are logged as they're done. So it doesn't have to be any certain period of time. I would say the shorter it is, the harder it would be to explain to the DOT why you have a 1 minute and 8 second pre-trip. But regardless of that, there's no time limit. There's no minimum. There's no maximum time. If it takes you 6.5 hours, you're supposed to log it like that. So there you go. No minimum or required time for pre-trip in the Green Book. All right, the next one is air conditioning. Mark, my company won't fix my air conditioning, so I refuse to drive the truck because you have to have air conditioning. It's the law. All right, it's not the law. It turns out they don't have to fix it because it's not a DOT requirement. What is a requirement is the defroster has to work, meaning air has to blow out at the windshield. All right, and I've had many cars, as I'm sure many of you had, without air. All right, they don't have air. I've had trucks without air. Our Model Max, where you got that window down there, that lets all that air in by your feet, that's awesome. That little door, that worked great. No air. Okay, air is not a requirement. They don't even have to give it to you to sleep. Now, somebody that wouldn't give it to you, I don't know about working there, all right? That's another story for another video. But they don't have to by law. So turning it down without air, I don't know. You see, it's not a DOT requirement. Is it a safety problem? Maybe you can suggest, hey, it's not safe for me to drive this. But that would be an interesting argument because they're not required to provide air conditioning. So they could buy a truck without air. I don't know if they have any now without air, but you could get a truck that doesn't have air. It's not illegal to drive it, and it's not a requirement. Again, I do think you should have it, and it's one of my requirements. Now, I'll drive the truck the rest of the day. If it goes out, trucks are mechanical, things happen. I get that. I'll drive it back, but then I want the air fixed, absolutely, right? And I've never had any problems with that. So, but sleeping in the truck, holy mackerel, right? No way. It's motel or forget it for me because I like it nice and cool so I can get all snuggly under the covers. which may or may not be white because they're not required to be white. So that's a few myths that are busted now. Busted by me. Busted. All right. So have a good day. I hope your air works. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back soon with another Trucking Answers.